Welcome back to another video. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. MeiaSoQuick with the uploads. Intro's over. Subscribe before you go. Welcome back, it's MeiaSoQuick, and in today's video I've got these old Converse that my nephew drew on, and so I'm gonna go ahead and try to make these look like some drippage going on. So first I'm just gonna have to go ahead and wash these bad boys up, and magically they are clean, as you can see now. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the nail polish remover, and I'm just gonna wipe the surface to remove that shine and get it ready so the paint can adhere to it. For this shoe, I decided I wanted to try my hand at doing like a gradient or like an ombre. So I'm taking a bunch of different, I'm taking a blue, a black, and a white, and I'm gonna mix them up to try to come up with some different versions of blue that I could use to make this little gradient on this drip. After I mixed all my paints, I realized, you know what, I'm missing a color, so I just poured the bottle straight into it, and that was like the perfect medium in between. And these are what all my mixed colors look like at the end. So my gradient is gonna go from light to dark, so I'm taking this super light sky blue color, and I'm just gonna go around the edges and gradually bring it down on towards the drippage, towards the bottom of the shoe. And as you see me painting, you see I didn't tape anything. Number one, because I'm lazy, and number two, I just have confidence in myself that I could do this. And if you see me hitting the little, I don't know what they call it, but the little metal things where the shoelaces go through, I don't mind getting those because I feel like I'm going to paint them anyway. Okay, and once I pretty much got this color going all the way around, my next step is that I'm going to go into my next color, blue, which is just a little bit darker. So when I started on this gradient fade, I really wasn't sure how it was going to look, if the paintbrush was going to be too harsh, but I wound up going in, after I kind of did my best to fade it in, I wound up getting one of those eyeshadow sponges that like no girl ever actually uses, but I have a ton of them, and so I just used that and I patted in between both of the colors, and it honestly made a really good blend. So once I did that, I just continued the same process going down the drips with my different color blues. So as I go down, you'll see that it just gets darker. I go in with the brush and then I blend it in, and sometimes I have to jump back and forth, use a light one, use a dark one, just to kind of make it look more natural, more realistic. So there's no real harsh line to show like where does one color end and where does the next color begin. As we get to like the nitty gritty with this little drip part, you'll see that I switch over to a really tiny detailed brush, and that's just to kind of stay in the lines. The drips were pretty much natural, so I kind of like globbed on the paint and then I smoothed it out because I really didn't do this in multiple layers. All this was done in one layer, other than me just going back and trying to blend things out and spot makeup whatever I missed. So as I was trying to blend these colors out, these last colors, I mean, I wish I had an even smaller little sponge so that way I could like really get into the fine details. So if you do that I would suggest, possibly even a Q-tip. It might work. I might have to try it in the future, but that's just what I did. I did the same thing, and then I eventually finally went into the super dark color to go ahead and finish off the drips. So here you can see how this blend is looking. I'm really liking it. It's kind of like an ocean drip. Okay, so like I said, we're gonna go in with that final color, and I'm pretty much just gonna glob it on so it really looks like a really drip effect, and then I'll just pat it in and blend it as I've been doing. Now that I've got all my paint laid down, I'm going to go in with my heat gun because I'm just too lazy to sit around for hours and wait for this to dry. So I'm going to get my heat gun and I'm just going to go ahead and start drying this. Make sure you always keep your heat gun moving, because other than that, you might actually burn the shoe, and we don't want to do that. But once I went ahead and got the shoe dry with the heat gun, my next thing was to then move on to the laces, because I didn't really want to do anything with the tongue, but I did realize I don't want white laces. So you can see that I decided to paint those little metal things where the shoelaces go. I did that in an ombre effect as well, and I think it looks really cool. Now to set up the paint for the shoelaces, I had to just go ahead in with some GAC 900. It's a fabric medium, and I just put about 50% of the whole mix. I made it GAC 900, and that way when I do this paint, the shoelaces aren't going to be super stiff, and it'll actually still move and behave like an actual shoelace. So once all my paint is mixed, I'm ready to lay it down. So the easiest way that I found, I just was experimenting. I laid some plastic cling wrap down, I stretched it out, put some tape on it, and then I stretched out my shoelace and I taped the ends of the shoelaces as well. And then I just went in with my paint with some gloves on, even though I wind up not being really too messy with this process, and I ombred it. I started with the light color in the middle, and then I just gradually moved out to the darkest at the very ends. And I gotta say, this was super easy, way easier than trying to throw shoelaces in a whole bucket of paint and then straining them out and whatever have you. But so I did this step, and then after it was just easy enough just to take the tape off and flip the shoelace over, and then the paint already shows you kind of where you paint it. So it's a great way, so that way you're not trying to figure out how much blue of this color. So anyway, I flipped it over and I did the same thing on the opposite side, and it worked out like super good. Once I was done doing both sides of the shoelace, I went on to, I have to strain it. I thought I was going to be able to avoid it, but so I just wind up going ahead and just pressing through and doing my best trying not to blend the colors. But yeah, I just went ahead and strained out that excess, and then I used my heat gun to set it, and I hung it up on a hanger for a long time. While I let those shoelaces dry, I pulled out my Angelus acrylic matte finisher, and I just got this on a paintbrush and I applied that. I'm gonna be honest, it says matte, but it's really not that matte, and it was still too shiny for me. So I actually went in with a Krylon matte aerosol can spray. I didn't show it on camera, but just so you know, to get that overall matte finish. And then when that was done and looking good, I put the laces back on, and this is what I got. I really like how they turned out. They look so good. My sister's already like saying she's gonna wear these now and waiting for me to do the other shoe, because apparently I only like to do one shoe at a time. But that go ahead and concludes the video, guys. Thank you guys so much for sticking around and watching. Please leave me a comment and let me know what you think, or give me some ideas of what I should attempt to do next, because I'm kind of surprising myself one thing after the other. Thanks. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. All right, bye.